Ezra chapter 1. In the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, in order to fulfill the Lord's message spoken through Jeremiah, the Lord stirred the mind of King Cyrus of Persia. He disseminated a proclamation throughout his entire kingdom, announcing in a written edict the following: Thus saith King Cyrus of Persia, the Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth. He has instructed me to build a temple for him in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Anyone from his people among you, may his God be with him, may go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and may build the temple of the Lord, God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. Anyone who survives in any of those places where he is a resident foreigner must be helped by his neighbors with silver, gold, equipment, and animals, along with voluntary offerings for the temple of the God which is in Jerusalem. Then the leaders of Judah and Benjamin, along with the priests and the Levites, all those whose mind God had stirred, got ready to go up in order to build the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. All their neighbors assisted them with silver utensils, gold equipment, animals, and expensive gifts, not to mention all the voluntary offerings. Then King Cyrus brought out the vessels of the Lord's temple which Nebuchadnezzar had brought from Jerusalem and had displayed in the temple of his gods. King Cyrus of Persia entrusted them to Mithredath, the treasurer, who counted them out of Sheshbazzar, the leader of the Judahite exiles. The inventory of these items was as follows: 30 gold basins, 1,000 silver basins, 29 silver utensils, 30 gold bowls, 410 other silver bowls, and 1,000 other vessels. All these gold and silver vessels totaled 5,400. Sheshbazzar brought them all along when the captives were brought up from Babylon to Jerusalem. Chapter 2. These are the prophets of the province who were going up from the captives of the exile whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had forced into exile in Babylon. They returned to Jerusalem and Judah, each to his own city. They came from Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Seraiah, Reelaiah, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispah, Bigvai, Rehum, and Banner. The number of Israelites was as follows: the descendants of Parosh, 2,172. The descendants of Shephatiah, 372. The descendants of Erah, 775. The descendants of Pahath Moab, from the line of Jeshua and Joab, 2,812. The descendants of Elam, 1,254. The descendants of Zatu, 945. The descendants of Zekai, 760. The descendants of Bani, 642. The descendants of Babai, 623. The descendants of Asgad, 1,222. The descendants of Adonikam, 666. The descendants of Bigvai, 2,056. The descendants of Adin, 454. The descendants of Eta, through Hezekiah, 98. The descendants of Bezai, 323. The descendants of Jorah, 112. The descendants of Hashum, 223. The descendants of Geba, 95. The men of Bethlehem, 123. The men of Netophah, 56. The men of Anathoth, 128. The men of the family of Asmaveth, 42. The men of Kiriath Jearim, Kephirah, and Beeroth, 743. The men of Ramah and Geba, 621. The men of Michmash, 122. The men of Bethel and Ai, 223. The descendants of Nebo, 52. The descendants of Magbish, 156. The descendants of the other Elam, 1,254. The descendants of Harim, 320. The men of Lod, Hadid, and Ono, 725. The men of Jericho, 345. The descendants of Senah, 3,630. The priests, the descendants of Judea, through the family of Jeshua, 973. The descendants of Imar, 1052. The descendants of Pashhar, 1247. The descendants of Harim, 1017. The Levites, the descendants of Jeshua, the Kadmiah, through the line of Hodaviah, 74. The singers, the descendants of Asaph, 128. The gatekeepers, the descendants of Shalom, the descendants of Atta, the descendants of Talmon, the descendants of Akub, the descendants of Hatita, and the descendants of Shobai, 139. The temple servants, the descendants of Zihar, the descendants of Hasufa, the descendants of Taboath, the descendants of Keros, the descendants of Siaha, the descendants of Padon, the descendants of Labina, the descendants of Hagab, the descendants of Akub, the descendants of Hagab, the descendants of Shalmai, the descendants of Hanan, the descendants of Gidel, the descendants of Geha, the descendants of Rea, the descendants of Rezin, the descendants of Nekoda, the descendants of Gezam, the descendants of Uzzah, the descendants of Pasir, the descendants of Besai, the descendants of Asnar, the descendants of Meunim, the descendants of Nepusim, the descendants of Bakbuk, the descendants of Hakupa, the descendants of Harhar, the descendants of Bazluth, the descendants of Mehida, the descendants of Hasha, the descendants of Bakos, the descendants of Sisera, the descendants of Tamar, the descendants of Nazia, the descendants of Hatifa, the descendants of the servants of Solomon, the descendants of Sotai, the descendants of Hasopheleth, the descendants of Peruda, the descendants of Jaela, the descendants of Dakon, the descendants of Gidel, the descendants of Shephatiah, the descendants of Hatil, the descendants of Pokereth Hazebaim, the descendants of Ami, all the temple servants and the descendants of the servants of Solomon, 392. These are the ones that came up from Tel Mela, Tel Hasha, Kerub Adon, and Emal, although they were unable to certify their family connections to their ancestry as to whether they really were from Israel. The descendants of Delea, the descendants of Tobiah, and the descendants of Nekoda. And from among the priests, the descendants of Hobea, the descendants of Hakoz, and the descendants of Barzillai, who had taken a wife from the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite and was called by that name. They searched for their records in the genealogical materials, but did not find them. They were therefore executed from the priesthood. The governor instructed them not to eat any of the sacred food until there was a priest who could consult the Urim and Thummim. The entire group numbered 42,360, not counting their male and female servants, who numbered 7,337. They also had 200 male and female singers, and 736 horses, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 6,720 donkeys. When they came to the Lord's temple in Jerusalem, some of the family leaders offered voluntary offerings for the temple of God in order to rebuild it on its site. As they were able, they gave to the treasury for this work 61,000 drachmas of gold, 5,000 minas of silver, and 100 priestly robes. The priests, the Levites, some of the people, the singers, the gatekeepers, and the temple servants lived in their towns, and all the rest of Israel lived in their towns. We're stopping here today. Next time we're going to be starting from Ezra chapter 3. I'll see you then.